When did you have to fire someone who was technically doing their job perfectly? I ran my daycare for 12 years, and I had never had to fire someone for being too good at their job until Haley. Haley moved through the classroom like a ghost, while the other teachers stomped around in their sneakers. During her first week, I watched her kneel beside screaming Brendan, and within 30 seconds, he was building blocks quietly. Kylie, who used to make me pop headache medicine every day, was suddenly folding napkins in perfect triangles. Did Haley slip these kids something to make them sleepy? My assistant Michelle whispered during lunch while staring at Haley's perfectly organized classroom through the window. The other teachers would huddle together during breaks with these confused expressions on their faces. I found myself making excuses to walk past her classroom because my stomach twisted every time I watched her work. Haley would crouch down to the kids' eye level and whisper things I couldn't quite hear. She'd slip them these little brown treats from her pocket that weren't from our snack supply. When I asked her about the treats, she said they were special protein snacks she bought herself. When I asked her about her techniques, she'd just smile and say she learned some tricks in college. One afternoon, I found a crumpled receipt to the nearby pet store in the trash can near her cubby. Liver treats and training clickers. My hands started shaking as I confronted her immediately. Haley, what is this receipt for dog treats? She looked me straight in the eye and said, "Oh, my roommate asked me to pick those up for her new puppy. She got the cutest labradoodle." Her explanation seemed reasonable enough that I let it slide, but something still felt off. Things got really weird when I stayed late one evening to catch up on paperwork. I heard voices from the aftercare room, but something was different. Haley's usual sing-song voice had dropped to this low, commanding growl. I crept closer and heard her say, "Good job sitting still. Now if you can stay quiet for 10 more minutes, you get another treat. Remember what happens to bad dogs who don't listen." I pushed open the door and found 6 4-year-olds sitting with backs straight and eyes locked on Haley's hands. They all tilted their heads the exact same way when she raised the clicker. Haley's hand froze mid-click and the bag of dog treats tumbled to the floor, spilling brown biscuits everywhere. "Haley, what the hell are you doing?" I stammered. She took a step backward and her face went completely red. "It's not what it looks like," she said, but her voice was shaking. "These methods work better than anything they taught us in school. Look how well behaved they are." I stared at the kids who were still sitting in perfect rows like trained animals. "You're giving them dog treats, Haley. You're treating human children like pets." She threw her hands up and said, "So what if they're technically dog treats? They're just dehydrated liver. It's protein, and it works." The children started looking back and forth between us with these confused, scared expressions. I told her to pack her things immediately and never come back. She argued with me for another 10 minutes, saying I was being closed-minded and that her results spoke for themselves. I had to threaten to call security before she finally left. I spent the next week calling every single parent to explain what happened. The state licensing board showed up 3 days later asking questions and taking notes. Half the parents threatened lawsuits, while the other half seemed genuinely confused about why I was so upset since their kids had been behaving so well at home too. 6 months later, I heard through the grapevine that she had landed a job at the university working with kids who have severe behavioral disorders.